hello, I'm Kråkan, also known as Cornix, and welcome to Closet Movie Rambles, where I talk about old movies that I found in my closet while cleaning. This week's movie is The Incredibles, and it's about 1 hour and 50 minutes long. And the movie starts with an old film reel where superheroes have been interviewed. Then cutting to Robert, aka Mr. Incredible, where he saves a cat from a tree, and he uses the same tree to stop some robbers in a car. And later he gets interrupted by this fanboy called Buddy. He basically, there's like a French bomber or something, and he basically intervenes. So this boy gets sent home, and this leads to Robert getting late to his own wedding with this other superhero called Elastigirl or Helen. So previous to this scene, Robert was helping a guy, saving him from falling from a building. Actually, I think he jumped and he saved his life. And there was this other, he stopped basically a running train from going down like a gap in the tracks. So these guys sued Mr. Incredible for saving their lives, which is kind of stupid, but that also leads to the whole superhero program getting scrapped because it costs more to have superheroes around than not. So about 15 years later, Robert is having this dead-end job, working at a desk, and he gets yelled at by his boss. And at this point, no superheroes are allowed to use their superpowers. They're just like in dormant. They're not supposed to do anything at all. They're just supposed to blend in. And then cutting to Dash, which is Robert's son. He is getting in trouble for putting some pins on his teacher's chair because he has this power of being super fast. Mr. Incredible is incredible. I guess he can lift things, and he's like Superman without the laser and the flight ability. So Helen picks Dash up from school, and Helen's ability, she is elastic, so she can basically Mr. Fantastic from the the Fantastic Four, I guess. So this movie has a lot of ties to that, and it's not shying away from it at all. So they also pick up the daughter Violet at the school. And later the family is having a dinner, and Lucius, or Mr. Frozzo or Friezo or something, he has this freezing power. He's also voiced by Samuel L. Jackson. That's hard to say, which is a really good choice. He does a really good job. So later Lucius and Robert is supposed to go out bowling, but what they really do is they're listening to the police radio, like good old times. So Robert and Friezo listens in on the police radio, and they find out that some people are trapped in a burning building, so they go and save them, but things go south, but they manage to get out of there. And when Robert returns home late that night, his wife yells at him because she figures out what he's doing. And the next morning he goes to work, and he gets lectured by his boss, and he's had it, so he throws him through a couple of concrete walls, and Robert gets fired. So when he's home going through his work stuff that he brought home, he finds this holographic message, which is basically offering him a job. So this girl called Mirage has been following him around throughout the movie, spying on him and putting this thing in his stuffs for him to find. So he's supposed to go to an island to take out a rogue robot, and he does this. And he gets dinner with Mirage, and he takes up this opportunity to do more superhero work on, this island. He gets in shape and whatnot, and he continues to work. So he needs to repair his superhero costume because it got like a tear in it. So he goes to this woman called E, or Edna. She's basically a designer, and she designs superhero costumes and all out modern fashion stuff. So she repairs the suit for him, and that's about it. So then Robert's wife finds out that he's been seeing Edna because there's like a phone call involved in this procedure. So meanwhile, the main bad guy, Syndrome, aka Bud, the little kid from before, now grown up into a supervillain because he got disappointed by Mr. Incredible in the first place. So Syndrome confronts Robert, and Robert manages to escape, run away from him. Elastigirl Helen goes to Edna, and she finds out that Edna has been making costumes for all of her superheroes in her family, so she takes the costume with them. Meanwhile, Robert sneaks into Syndrome's hideout, and he basically gets captured, but he finds out that Syndrome has this plan where he's supposed to take this robot and launch it on a rocket to a city, and he's basically gonna stop it by himself to become hero of the day. and sells his own merchandise. So everyone will become superheroes in the end, and no superhero will be special. So Helen takes a plane to this island, but Dash and Violet is on it, and the plane gets shut down. But they manage to get it to the island relatively quick, and Helen takes this chance to go in alone and try to save Robert. And the kids basically are forced to run out of like a cave because the rocket is launching, so they have to run for the explosion, and now they can't hide in the cave anymore. So meanwhile, this is happening. Mirage, which actually turned out to be Syndra's henchman, has a change of heart, and she basically lets Robert out of the force field. So Robert and Helen gets reunited, and the kids deal with security, and the whole family reunites only to be captured by Syndrome. So he goes off to the city to save the world from his own machine. Violet actually uses her force powers to disengage herself from the force field and saves the entire family. Meanwhile, back in the city, Syndrome gets knocked out by his own machine because he's too smart for him, which was kind of funny. And the Incredibles deal with this threat with the help of Friezo, and they manage to destroy the machine after a long work. But Syndrome had a backup. So he kidnaps the youngest Incredible, which has been home all along, or actually with a babysitter. And he takes the kid, and he wants to turn the kid into as evil as him, raise him as a bad guy. But the whole thing ends up with him getting like sucked into the jet engine because he has a cape. And Edna said this throughout the story, that capes are just bad because they always get stuck to things, and she's a designer, so she knows what she's talking about. And that basically ends the whole kind of thing with the family. Things turn out to be better, and they can continue to do superhero stuff. And it ends with the movie introducing a new character, which is called the Undertaker, which is like a mole. And this character kind of reminded me of the Doctor Doom from the Fantastic Four series, but that's another story. So that's pretty much the end of the movie. So what do I think about this movie? It takes a lot of liberty with the Fantastic Four license. You have a strong guy, you have someone that's like can turn invisible, and someone that's very elastic. It's blatantly a rip-off, but it's like a tongue-in-cheek thing. A thing that I noticed about this movie is that some of the music vibes actually has like a 50s or 60s James Bond's kind of flair to it. I don't know if it's intentional, but I picked that up. I thought that was kind of cool, like a little homage. Overall, this is like an early Pixar movie, so the effects are kind of okay, but things look plasticky, like the film, like Toy Story. But that they are supposed to look plasticky, but not in this like a hero fashion thingy. That's the thing I can't complain about. But otherwise, I really enjoyed the movie, and I can definitely recommend it. It's one of those movies where it has like layers for adults and it has layers for kids. There's this one part where Samuel L. Jackson is looking for his superhero suit, and he's talking about, goddamn woman, this is very important. It's about saving the world. And she basically says, like, well, I'm your world. And it's like this funny thing is like everyone has been with a girl, knows that it kind of depends on her and all that. It's kind of a funny scene regardless. And Samuel L. Jackson does a great job with this character. So I can definitely recommend this movie. So anyway, thanks for listening and or watching, and take care.